So I have been getting a chuckle this morning out of reading all of these people who are out there trying to claim that The Last of Us HBO show has gone woke and that it's somehow a show with a woke agenda behind it because Nick Offerman's character of Bill, as shown in The Last of Us show, was gay. And it's like, do these people not realize that the character of Bill was always gay? He was gay in the original video game. There was no woke agenda back in 2013 when The Last of Us was released on the PlayStation. So you can't claim that the character was created just to be uh, a representative for tokenism or to check something off on a list of diversity options that the production company is forcing them to go through. That doesn't exist here, ladies and gentlemen. This character was always gay and remains gay, and they've just done it in the show in a slightly different way than the video game did it, and allowed the character of Bill to have more screen time and to also have like a little bit of a mini movie. I mean, this is a film. This is an hour plus long episode, and um, Offerman gives the performance of his career in my mind in this episode. Very, very well done. And I don't want to spoil anything here. I'll try not to spoil anything. I'll have to try to remember not spoil anything. If you want to watch my review of episode 3, don't forget to check that out. That came out on Monday morning. So check that out at your leisure, but only if you've watched the episode because it's full of spoilers. But Bill's character is in my mind, the show has offered this character the chance to shine and have a really beautiful story behind it. Whereas the story of the game character was much darker and much more grim. If we go back to the video game version of Bill, um, we get a character who is very jaded and has had some very difficult things happen to them, and their partner Frank, being the only survivors left in Lincoln, which is the town that they live in, Frank has left Bill and disappeared. And if you find things in the game, you'll find out that that leaving was not a pleasant one. It was not a was not a nice separation, and they very much did not part on good terms. Whereas with the show, they have chosen to come in and give, without spoiling anything, they give Bill and Frank a slightly different relationship. Now, some people might be upset with the fact that they've chosen to show a slightly different version of that in the show versus the game, and you'll have some people out there going, "That's not as good as it was in the game," and I'm a purist. Well, I feel like you kind of lose the right to complain when the creator and director of the original series is also here behind the scenes as a writer, director, not necessarily showrunner, but helping in a showrunner capacity, but right here involved in every aspect of this show's production and everything. So all of the things you're seeing on the screen are coming from the mind of the original director and creator. And so I think that people who are up in arms about how Bill's character is so gay, you need to take a step back, because this has nothing to do with the woke agenda. This is just a character that has always been here this way, and they decided that they wanted to tell a slightly different story in the show, and it's beautifully done. Um, I would argue that this is the best representation of a same-sex relationship that I've seen on screen since since 8. And I've talked about this. If you've been on my channel for any length of time, you know that I firmly support representation on screen when it's done tastefully for the story, not just to fulfill a checklist, because that sort of tokenism and woke agenda I am not against. But it can be done tastefully. Sense 8 being one of my favorite shows, also going to Carnival Row, which has amazing representation within a fantasy show. So you've got Sense 8 representing sort of a science fiction view of the modern world, and then you have um, Carnival Row depicting a fantasy environment where you've got fairies and trolls and ogres and all these different races coming together, and lots of representation across the board. So on my channel, I have talked a lot about this, especially last year, because people coming out of the woodworks and making accusations about all these different franchises and companies that you're destroying the characters that I grew up with, and that, the Star Wars world would never have these types of people in it because Star Wars has never been about this. And it's like, oh my God. But I have called it out when I've seen it, and this is not an example of it. People who are calling The Last of Us a woke show have zero clue what they are talking about. Zero clue. This character has been that way since this game was written, and this game came out in 2013. That was 10 years ago. It has been a long time, and this whole agenda thing has only sprung up in the last couple of years. So you cannot attribute that here whatsoever. Furthermore, the depiction that they give on screen here, I cried like a baby, like 3 different times when I watched the episode by myself to do the review. Again, no spoilers here, but there are several different things. There's sheer joy, there's sadness, there's all these different emotions that happen when you're watching this episode if you allow yourself to put yourself in the shoes of Bill's character and follow that journey. And this is why I say it's Nick Offerman's performance of his career, because I've seen him do, everyone is, Parks and Recs comedic take. How many people out there have seen Devs? Because he did a dramatic turn in Devs that makes Devs one of the best science fiction shows that I've seen in the last few years. It also doesn't hurt that the writer and director is also the same guy. What is his name? I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he did Ex Machina, and just, which is a brilliant film if you've not watched that. So I've been really appreciating it. It's kind of like when Robin Williams was going out and showing people that he could be a dramatic actor and do things above and beyond comedy. And I feel like this is his chance to shine, and he's going out and he's doing lots of character roles in these TV shows where he's pushing the limits of what he's capable of as an actor. And this is what defines a good actor from others, like not being afraid to step into the skin of another character and portray that character to the fullest extent of not only what is on paper, but what you could pull out of your emotional state. The relationship between these two men in the show, like I said, I think it's the best. This is just my opinion, the best representation of a same-sex relationship that I've seen, like I said, since Sense8. There's nothing woke about this. It's just good storytelling, period. Now, if you're someone who can't tolerate same-sex relationships, that's a you problem, not a me problem, not a society problem. That's a you problem. So, we can't help you with that. That's a thing you have to learn how to unprogram yourself from that type of mentality. But for my money's worth, The Last of Us episode 3 just was amazing. It's a new spin on a character we've been around before and we've seen before. It's very interesting also because I'm in the middle of a Last of Us replay on the remastered version of my old PS4 now, and I'm almost to the point where I'm meeting Bill, and it's pretty amazing because I remember in my head what Bill is like in the game, and I remember the actor whose name I don't remember, but I loved him in Deadwood. He's done some really cool stuff over the years, but his character in Deadwood was also very good. Anyway, great show, not woke. It's just who this character is. Sometimes sometimes these folks out there, the things people want to be upset about when there's inflation and war and all this other stuff going on, blows my mind, but it is what it is. I love the show. I love the game. There's nothing woke about it. Like, subscribe, hit that bell icon, follow along for more. Support if you can. All the ways are down there. We'll see you next time, everybody. Stay safe. Happy watching.